Valentine's Day is getting closer every day, and we all know what it means. It's time to read romance books! Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jane, and in today's video I'm going to recommend you my most favorite romance books. I'm really excited because in 1 week from now, the Valentisathon starts. If you haven't heard about the Valentisathon, this is a Valentine's Day readathon that I'm co-hosting with Lauren and Anna, and I will link all of our announcement videos in the description. So of course I'm here today to recommend you some romance books that you can read on Valentine's Day or every other day in the year, because romance books are so heartwarming and so fun to read. I have 8 romance books that I'm going to talk about today, and I love every one of them so much. All the books here are books that I gave 4 or 5 stars, which is amazing. And all of the books are perfect for the prompts we have in the Valentisathon in our bingo board. So let's just get started. The first book that I'm going to talk about today is Without Merit by Colleen Hoover. Okay, so Colleen Hoover in general is one of my most favorite authors. I've read so many books by her, so of course I'm going to recommend some of them here. And this book is also perfect for the pink on the cover prompt. The story following Merit, a teen girl that lives with her strange family. She isn't in a good relationship with most of her family, and she has a really unique hobby. She likes to collect trophies for every failure that she had. And of course, in the start of the story, she meets Sagan, which is her love interest. I really love also Merit and also Sagan characters. They feel real and you can relate to them. And I also really love the chemistry between them. The chemistry between them is visible like from the start, but it doesn't feel rushed on, which I really love, because in a lot of romance books, I do feel like the author tried to rush the relationship too much. And actually in this plot, Merit finds out that Sagan isn't even available. In this book there is also mental health triggers, so please watch out. But this is the thing that I really love about this book, because you have the love plot, but the romance isn't everything around this book, and everything just goes so well together. The pacing is so good, the characters are so relatable. This is a perfect book to read if you really want to get into a story and really feel what the characters are feeling. When I started to read this one, I was really surprised, which happens to me every time that I read Colleen Hoover book. So yes, I really love this book, and this is the first recommendation. The second romance book is My Not So Perfect Life by Sophie Kinsella. This is a new adult romance book that is so heartwarming and so relatable. I can't even describe how much I was surprised from this book. This story following Katie, a woman that works in London because she really loved London and she wanted to live in London her whole life. And this book good for the dreamy character prompt. The dreamy character in this book isn't the love interest, it is Katie Bowes, the meter. The meter is the perfect woman with the perfect life, the perfect job and the perfect family, and Katie is really jealous of her. But one day the meter fire her. Of course you have a love interest, and this love interest is a man from the company that Katie used to work in until the meter fire her, and his name is My Not So Perfect Life because Katie loves to share photos of her life in London in Instagram, but all of her photos are fake because her life are not perfect at all. So yes, this is a really heartwarming book, and I feel like it really reminds me Emily in Paris, but in a really good way. So I don't know if you watched Emily in Paris, but I watched it and I didn't really like it, but I liked the idea for the show. And when I started to read this book, I felt like this is the story of Emily in Paris, just so much better. Emily comes to a new city, Paris, and she loves Paris. And this book, Katie comes to London and she loves London so much. And it's really fun to see how much she really enjoying the city. But besides that, Katie character is so relatable. Like, I think this is the most relatable book that I ever read, because in this book you see again and again how Katie's life are not perfect and how she wants to be like everyone else. And I think that everyone can relate to this part, because sometimes you just look at other people and you really want to live their life, but this story teaches you to really love your life and to really enjoy from the things you got. And the characters are so deep and so good. I feel like every character has a really far from past. I was so surprised from this book, but from the moment that I started to read it, I couldn't put it down, and I read it in one day. And this isn't a short book, it has 400 pages. I just couldn't put it down. But I just wanted to say that this story is predictable, like nothing happened there that I wasn't predicting, but it's just like watching a rom-com movie, because in a lot of rom-com movies you know what is going to happen and you know that the two characters are going to be together in the end. But although this book is really predictable, it was so fun, and I really recommend this one because it made me feel so happy. The next romance book is Wicked Fox by Kat Chu. This is the perfect fantasy romance story, and the writing in this one is so beautiful. This story following Myung, which is a teen that lives with her mom, but she isn't a regular teen because she is a Gomyo, and Gomyo is a Korean mythology creature who is a fox with 9 tails. And this is a fantasy contemporary book that takes place in Korea, Seoul. What? Yes, that sounds amazing. It is really cool because all the book is around Korean mythology that I never really heard of, but it was so fun to learn about it. And if you like Korea in general, you're really going to love this book, because this book just feels like a K-drama. It truly feels like a K-drama. In this book, Myung meets up Jiyeon when he gets attacked from another mythological creature, and she helps him to get out alive from the situation. And after they meet, they find out that they are going to the same school together. Like I said, the writing style is so beautiful and so poetic. I feel like this is a really heavily romance book. Myung and Jiyeon relationship takes a big part from this book, but that's okay because you have a lot of other things to the plot except from the romance, and the plot is actually really good because there's a lot of twists and a lot of things that I wasn't expecting. And this is actually a fantasy standalone, which is really cool. There is a sequel to this book, but the sequel is about 2 different characters, not Myung and Jiyeon, so you can read only this one. And yes, this was a really good book. My experience reading it was so fun. I feel like this is a really high standard book, and like I said, this is a heavily romance one. So yes, if you are in the mood for a really romantic book with a lot of emotions and a lot of characters that you are really getting connected to, this is a really good book. And again, if you like K-drama, you're definitely going to love this one. The next book is another Colleen Hoover book, but this is the last Colleen Hoover book in this Rex video, and believe me, it was really hard to choose only 2. But this is Ugly Love. Okay, so this book takes a lot of prompts, so it's perfect for the Valentinesathon. But this is a very steamy romance, and this is a story that will definitely make you cry. And of course, the word love is in the title. And the plot of the story is friends with benefits. Yes, the plot following Tate, a woman that meets Miles, and Miles is an air pilot. And from the start, their chemistry is so hot. So of course, the way to friends with benefits in this one is really quick because they attracted to each other right away, and this friends with benefits is perfect for them because Miles don't want any love and Tate don't have any time for love. So they start this arrangement, and like I said, this is a very steamy romance, but except from the steaminess, this is also a very emotional story. I really sobbed in the end of the book, and I think this is really hard not to cry from this one. But yes, once again, Colleen Hoover writes such good romance books. It actually was my first Colleen Hoover book that I ever read, and it made me really fall in love with her writing style. So yes, if you're looking for a steamy romance but also for an emotional story, I really think you need to check it out. I'm so excited to talk about the next book because the next book is a graphic novel, and this is Mooncakes. Guys, this is such a good graphic novel. This is a middle grade fantasy LGBT story, and this one is so heartwarming and so cute. First of all, the illustrations are so beautiful. They are so colorful and so pretty. But except the illustrations, also the plot is really cute. This triple up has 3 prompts as a fantasy story, LGBT story, and a fluffy romance. And in this graphic novel, we follow Nova, a witch, and Tam, a werewolf, and they were childhood friends. But Tam moved away, and now, after a lot of years, Tam is back in town, and Nova helps Tam with the werewolf magic. And this is just so cute and so heartwarming. Everything about this book is just so beautiful, and I really want to reread it, although I read it only this month. But yes, I just loved everything about this book, and also the characters. Every one of the characters is so good. I actually don't think I ever got such a joy feeling from a graphic novel. And yes, if you want to read a graphic novel, read this one. The next book is a romance series, and this is After by Todd. Okay, so this series is a really steamy romance series. It has 4 books, and I have read all of them. In this book, we're following Tessa, a girl that starts college, and she is the good girl that gets a lot of good grades, and of course for her, college is really important. But in college, she meets Herdin, which is the bad guy, the exact opposite of her. They are not going to get along in the start, and they actually hate each other, but the relationship becomes so intense and so steamy and just so good. This series has 4 books. It means the relationship is really intense, and I just don't know, I love those books so much. Every book is so long. This one is almost 600 pages, and although all the books are so long, I read each one of them in a day or in 2 days because I just couldn't put this series down. So yes, if you're looking for a college romance story with a lot of intense things, enemies to lovers relationship, and a lot of steamy things, this book is for you. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you heard about the next book, and this is To All the Boys I Once Loved by Jenny Han. So yes, this is the book that the Netflix movie was based on, and this is the perfect fluffy contemporary book, and there is also love in the title and pink on the cover, so again, triple prompts. But in this book we're following Lara Jean, and Lara Jean is a half Korean teen, and she wrote love letters for boys she loved, but the love letters meant to be secret, and she wrote those letters in a purpose to move on and not to feel anything for this boy anymore. So every time she had a crush, and every time she needed to move on, just wrote a letter and she put it in a box in her room. But one day the letters disappear, and the next thing she knows, the boys get the letters. So of course then things start to get complicated, and like I said, you probably already know this book because the Netflix movies, but this is a perfect time to read this book because the 4th movie is going to come out on Netflix near Valentine's Day. So if you're in a mood to binge reading and then binge watching the series, this is the perfect time to do it. And I saw also the movie, but actually the movie ended a little bit differently than the book. So I think that also if you watch the movie, you will still enjoy this book. So yes, this is just a really cute fluffy romance story, and there is going to be 3 Netflix films. It means that a lot of people really love the plot. So we got to the last book, and this is actually a really old book, and it also has a movie, but I think that I won't stop recommending this book never. And this is A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Spark. Okay, you need to be emotionally prepared for this book because this book will make you sob in tears. I don't think that I ever cried from a book this much before. This is a very heartwarming story about 2 teenagers, Carter and Jamie, going to the same school together, and they are actually opposite of each other and they never got along, but throughout the book they start to get to know each other and they start to get connected to each other. And I really don't want to say too much about this book because I think that the best experience is to read this book without knowing anything, because it just will make you cry even more. But I wanted to say that I saw the movie before I read the book, and I still love the book so much, and I really can't recommend it enough. And if you want a really emotional story that will just leave you without words, this book is just so good. So yes guys, that was my romance recommendations. So yes, this is all the books. They are so good and I really hope you will like them too. Like I said, the Valentisathon starts in 1 week. We are so excited for it, and once again the announcement videos will be in the description. We will have live readings sprints and we will have giveaways, and it's going to be so much fun. Please share with us your TBR in a TBR video or in Twitter. Of course, we will be vlogging all the Valentinesathon. I'm uploading 2 times a week on Sundays and Wednesdays. Until the next video, you can check my 2 previous ones. I hope you enjoyed this one and I will see you in the next one. Bye!